Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, for another Learning from Leaders podcast episode where we explore the journeys, insights, and experiences of people who are making a meaningful impact through their leadership. I'm your host, RJ Horner, founder of the Beacon Fellows Academy of Leadership. And each episode, we sit down with leaders, thinkers, and change makers who are serving others, building influence, and sharing the lessons they've learned along the way. Our goal is simple: to help you learn from those who have walked the path before you so you can grow into the leader you were meant to be. Today, I'm excited to be joined by my guest, Luke Jorgensen. Luke, thank you and welcome to the show.
Thanks, RJ. Glad to be here.
Wonderful. And so, before we dive into leadership, we always have to get to know our speaker a little bit better. So, tell us a little bit about yourself and what's going to set up for our conversation today.
Well, I'm a sales guy, RJ. I'm a sales coach now. I just came off a decade or so running sales teams in the door-to-door industry. Now I've transitioned to coaching, companies and their sales, getting better sales results. And kind of before that, I was a high school teacher and coach. So anyway, I've kind of transitioned a couple different times, but somehow they've all related because now I'm coaching. I feel like that's I was a coach first, a teacher. Of course, training is all about teaching and coaching. So it's all kind of come a full circle, just in a little bit different way.
For sure, for sure. So you were one of those dreaded door-to-door salesman guys, huh?
Yeah, I was one of those guys. Although I would say I was quite unique. I wasn't your typical guy, which made me get a lot better results than most of those guys. So I know kind of the reputation sometimes in that industry, but no, we did things a lot differently. So
And that's what it boils down to, right? Is a reputation, because every person is different. Sometimes if you believe in a product you're selling, you're better at it, and you're there to serve the customer ultimately, right? So um I just wanted to throw that out there in case people, they got this image in their mind of who you might be. I love that you started out as a teacher, you transitioned into this sales job. And we'll talk about all that throughout our conversation today because there's a lot of leadership experience built into all of that, right?
yeah, from leading high schoolers to leading athletes to leading adults as salespeople. And salespeople are not easy to lead. Like they're being one myself, like that's not an easy crowd to please. But through that, and then through that experience, just leadership is so valuable. It's so key. And it's not easy. It's not easy to lead, and those that do it well, boy, they set themselves apart.
Yeah, you know what? Like I know good and bad leaders. People you're willing to follow, and people you're like, oh, do I have to listen to you? You know what I mean? So they're on, and plenty of people in between on the spectrum, right? So you talked about your experience and who you are. People have gotten to see your value that you're going to teach today. But tell us a little bit about who you are beyond these professional titles. Who is Luke Jorgensen as the person?
Yeah. More importantly, right? A son, a husband, a father,
Mm,
father of seven,
wow.
and so we got quite the crew. Some are old, some are young. So I feel like I've been in this father stage forever, and I will still be in it for a long time here now. But it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
I love it. I don't have too many more hobbies other than what my kids are doing. It seems like.
And you listen, you're living vicariously through them now at this point, right? So, no, that's amazing. And I always say, look, we are leaders. It doesn't matter what role we have in life. We are leaders, whether we're just leading ourselves or that family experience. Like it's difficult to run a family of even two, much less seven plus your partner, right? So, that's a lot of experience right there.
Yeah, I'm kind of the assistant coach, so to speak, in the household.
Absolutely.
My wife's the head coach. No, she's done a great job, and having someone to lean on and help you, obviously she does an amazing job, but just to her support and be able to do what I've done, professionally, like I just wouldn't be where I'm at without that.
Yeah, that's funny, and it's funny. I'm a baseball fan, and so as soon as you said that, I managed. Yep, my wife is the manager. She's running everything, calling all the plays,
Yeah.
and I'm like the bench coach, just making sure everything runs smooth according to her plan. Right?
Yeah, yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, yeah,
So, look, you talked about how you were a high school teacher first and foremost. Now, look, I was not the best student. I caused my teachers a little bit of headaches. So tell us a little bit about that, how you managed that. Did you have most of your students listen to you? Did you have, a couple of bad apples in the bunch? Let's talk about your experience there for a bit.
well, being a resident knucklehead myself, I related to the knuckleheads.
Mm,
So I was, I liked school, but I was not the straight A at all. But no, I taught a great subject. So I had an interest in art. And so I taught art education,
okay.
and I actually met my wife teaching, and she was teaching English. And I always told her, like, we're in two different worlds. Like, people come to my class, they like it, you know, some come to your class, don't like it, some do. But so anyway, yeah, just that, it's a leadership position, like just that. So I think the key thing that's resonated through all my careers is just that, like, being a people person. And you don't necessarily have to be like outgoing or anything like that, but just caring for people, like no matter where they're at, like trying to meet them where they're at, trying to understand them, trying to help them grow and develop, whether it's a student, it's a athlete, it's a, one of my salespeople. And so just that taking care of people mentality is really, and I didn't, it just kind of was who I am, and it resonated really well once I went into sales. And it's just like that. I always had the idea that I wasn't a salesman. And then I realized, oh wow, I just need some skills and kind of be who I am. And there was no like typical quote unquote salesperson. Like, there's no such thing. And so just knowing like what my strengths were and being with people and talking to people and relating to people. And when you're in door to door, you might be talking to a doctor, lawyer, a business owner that's, multi-million dollar business owner. And then, the next day you might be talking to someone that is just trying to scrape by. And so you got to relate to lots of different people, old, young. And so that experience of door-to-door sales, I feel like I can literally relate to anybody.
So on that topic, then you said you may be talking to somebody who who has plenty of money, who can afford what you've got, who maybe this product is good for them, maybe it's not, but they could easily afford it. But then you've also got the people on a budget, or how do you manage those people? Do you think that, oh, you know what, I really shouldn't be selling this person this product, or do you think, okay, here's the value in it for you? How do you sell them on that? How do you pitch that to them?
Yeah, I sold solar energy, and so I believed in it, and that's what really
Mhm.
changed the game for me. Um, and it was great for everybody, honestly. Like, unless you were super 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 old, and those people I just straight up, told them, hey, in a nice way, but basically, you're too old for this. I'll just move on, nicely. And so yeah, there's always going to be certain people that don't fit, and just everyone else, right? And so that's, luckily, I think that's a key. There's a lot of good people out there, and the skill of selling makes you very valuable in a lot of places. So if you're in sales, but you don't believe in the product, you just switch to something else. Like, go find
Mhm.
something else that you like and you can see value. And like, there's so much opportunity out there. And if you're good at sales, right, you become really valuable. And so that's a key. Don't try to sell, obviously the wrong thing, and to the wrong person. But if you have a good product service, and it's valuable, you can see how it's going to benefit someone. If it's not going to benefit them, I mean, every once in a while I'd knock on a door and they'd be like, yeah, we're going to be moving in 6 months. And I'd be like, okay, this is not for you. Like,
Right.
straight up, this is not for you. Like, you know, that's not for you.
Yeah.
So we'll
Yeah.
just
So
move
that's
on and find out who's good.
That's the process of qualifying people, right? That's the whole point of that's the first step of what you do. So there's a couple things you said there that I just want to touch upon. And the first thing was that look, if you're selling a product you don't enjoy, move on and find another product. I think that translates to anything we're involved in, right? Look, love what you do. And if you love what you do, you find value in what you do, you're going to enjoy it. You're going to exude that, right? You're gonna show that off in everything you do, your attitude, your behavior, your capabilities. It all translates to how much you enjoy what you do, and I think that's the key right there.
Yeah, for sure. And then like the benefit to people, right? You see like oh my gosh, this actually does benefit people, or this,
Mhm.
I am selling something that's good. It's cool, it's unique, it's different, it's whatever it is, and just grab onto those. Every product service has, a couple little minor things that, aren't great. That's everything, right? But overall, do you have something that you're excited about, something you can see that benefits other people? And then when you do, it just makes it really natural. Like, people say I'm not a great salesman, and then the next second they're telling you what a great restaurant they just went to and how great it was, and they just sold you just because they believed in that, right? Or the latest movie that they saw and you should see it and it was so good. We're just naturally good at this, but it's when the product, service, etc., doesn't align with kind of who we are inside, or we don't see the value. That's when it's just really, really hard.
Absolutely, and like you said, we're natural salesmen. We're all natural salesmen. It's just a matter of, excuse me, how excited we are about what we do and what we're promoting to people, right? So I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah, we're all natural salesmen, but we're not natural salesmen about everything.
Right, absolutely. Find what you love and do that. I remember I had a boss when I was a teenager. I was stocking shelves at a discount or a thrift store, and I didn't enjoy it. Right, I wasn't happy, and he saw that, and he's like, "Listen," and he, in a nice way, he's like, "Listen, I'm going to give you some advice here." He said, "Look, I can see you're not happy doing this job. Look, I need somebody to do the job, but I want somebody who's going to be here and be happy about the work, not create a toxic environment. If you're not happy here, please go find another job, you know? So some of the
Yeah,
greatest advice we can take right there is look, find the joy in what you do. And if you don't find joy in it, find something else.
yeah, that's
So
great.
look, you were a high school student or a high school teacher. So you've always kind of guided people and led people. But what about yourself? Did you ever have people along the journey, mentors or people who have influenced you on your path?
Oh, so many. Like, I just even today I just got done filming. I do social media stuff, and just got done filming a little video, a little reel about how valuable coaching is. Like, this idea, and I'm getting coaching now. Like, I'm getting coaching for my coaching business. I've gotten coaching for LinkedIn because I wasn't great at LinkedIn. Like anything that I felt like, hey, I need to improve at, it was always like the idea, because I've come from an athletic background, the idea of coaching is like natural to me, but I've noticed it's not natural for other people, and I don't get it. Like I don't get why we don't like reach out and try to get someone that's been there, done that, has a little bit more experience, a little bit more knowledge on things, and I just don't get it at all. Because it's like, look, they're gonna speed up my path. My learning curve's gonna get shrunk down. you know, my path to get what I really want is just gonna be sped up. And I look at like the idea of like, well, I don't want to spend money. It's like, well, how much is your time worth? How much are those struggles worth to get to, work? Like, let's say you struggle for 6 months, like what's that value in income for me if I can speed that up, get it to cut in half, right? So I just look at that, and it's really natural. And so I have coaches in my life. Of course, I'm coaching, and I just see like how it all works and the value it brings to me to get coaching, the value it is when I coach. Yeah, it's just, I'm obviously, you can tell I'm all about coaching. And I look at like the Olympics just ended, a few months ago,
Mhm.
and every athlete had a coach. Like, and you're talking like these, I mean, the amount, the difference between gold and silver is sometimes fractions of a second. And so the stakes are really, really high. And here we are in our own business, like, and we're in our own lives, and we're like, hey, we're just kind of going through the motions, and we're trying to trial and error it ourselves and wasting a lot of time and effort and stress and all this. And it's just like, hey, if those top athletes need coaches, I think us regular people could need coaches.
Are you ready to step into your full leadership potential? To grow as a leader who inspires, empowers, and makes an impact? Welcome to the Beacon Fellows School of Leadership, a place where emerging leaders, coaches, and changemakers come together to master the skills, mindset, and strategies to lead with purpose. Through our immersive programs, you'll gain proven frameworks for building influence and authority, hands-on leadership development tools and workbooks, personalized guidance from experienced facilitators, a community of like-minded leaders committed to growth. Whether you're looking to lead a team, launch a movement, or simply grow in confidence and clarity, the Beacon Fellows School equips you with the skills, strategies, and support to shine as a leader in any arena. Join us today and start your journey to becoming a leader who leaves a lasting impact. Visit www.beaconfellows.com to learn more and secure your place at the Beacon Fellows School of Leadership. Your next step as a leader starts now.
And listen, you said it in our conversation. It's the essence of it, what we do here from Learning from Leaders. Is you said, look, with your sales experience, the idea was to, or with your team, is to so that they could learn from someone who's experienced in what you can use, right? So I think that's the whole point of coaching, mentoring. Look, coaching. Okay, so you pay somebody to help you along the path. And again, you talked about the value of, okay, if it's going to shorten my gap from 2 years down to 3 months or 6 months, where's the value in that? Is it worth that? Of course it is, right? And so the idea is with this podcast, if they can take out 1 or 2 lessons that's going to help shorten their journey, all the more to them. And please go out there and find mentors too. Mentors are usually free and they can be found in your community. Somebody who's doing what you're doing. Get out to seminars, get out to networking sessions, get out to community events. Find the people who are going to help you along your path.
Yeah, and people are really giving, like surprisingly, but they're not going to come to you. Like,
Yeah,
you've got to like take a little bit of the initiative and ask. And it's how many times I've asked someone and they've given without expecting anything is just like it happens all the time. And I'm the same way. Like if I can help someone out and like, someone comes to my door and every once in a while I get someone knocking on my door for a product service. And I literally like, okay, and I'll spend like 30 minutes like coaching them. Like, hey, there's my background. Here's what you could do. And the one guy came back, he's like, oh my gosh, like, thank you so much. After a week. And he was selling windows. But yeah, so I think people that are successful, they want to give back. Like, they're not, they don't want to just keep everything in. Like, I mean, sometimes we have the idea that they're like that, and real successful people are not like that.
Yeah. Like, yes, they want to control their time, especially, the wealthy. They want to control their time because time is money. And here's the greatest lesson. If you listen well enough, you'll hear that for the wealthy, time is not money. Time, yes, if I control my time, I can create this product when I'm ready, or create that product, or sell, you know what I mean? So that they're creating things, they're not trading their time for money. But really, they are very generous in what they look. I learned from Myron Golden, who teaches on business. He teaches on wealth. He teaches on religion. I learned all of these things from him for free, right? Of course, he has products to sell. Of course, he has coaching to sell, but he offers this for free. And there are so many people out there who are willing to offer their time. I'm always grateful when I get that one person like you who, you taught him something and he was here to, offer you something, but you were teaching him while he was in your presence, right? I'm always truly appreciative. And I think some people are like, well, who are you to tell me that, right? But listen, take that time, take that guidance when it's offered to you, because people are, that's a generous gift.
Oh, for sure. And I think like we obviously there's boundaries, right? And it's like, you're not trying to, take advantage of someone else by getting mentorship from them. But if they're willing and they're okay with it, it's just like when you ask something, if they're willing and okay, and it's valuable for them, and that, it's not about money for them, right? It's not about that at all. It's about helping someone else and feeling that pride and getting those good feelings inside. And so, but then you're also like, look, if you're going to take advice from someone, you better go act. And you can't just come back and say, well, I didn't do it, or give me more advice, but I didn't do the first advice that you gave me. You got to act, and you got to be a good mentee.
Yeah. Even some coaches, they'll be like, listen, man, I've been telling you to do this, you haven't done it. I've been offering you this guidance, you haven't done it. At a certain point, look, you've been paying me, I get it, but here's the rest of the money you paid me back, because we're not working out. You're not doing, again, really it boils down to here's what you're getting out of it. Go apply it, right?
Yeah, it's all about action. I mean, there's enough knowledge in the world right now. Like, you think we need more knowledge or more action right now? I mean, just you got Chat GPT at your fingertips. Like, all the knowledge is there, but it's the action, right? The implementation. that's that's what separates.
So you evolved from being a high school teacher into a salesman. Now, you were obviously a good salesman. Now, did they give you a team? Did you recruit a team? How did that work out?
No, I just started at the bottom. I saw an opportunity to sell. I didn't know anything about selling. I just said, hey, I'll show up. I'm going to work hard, and they'll teach me. They know how to do it. They'll teach me. And I just hung on to what they said, started developing, sold for a couple years, and then I was in not even 2 years. And then I was in a leadership position. And then in 2 years, I had my own office, and I'd proven myself that proven I knew what to do, how to work, and you prove yourself, and you know how to run a team, you know how to sell, you know how to train, all that good stuff. But then there's still even a learning curve for those 8+ years that I was leading teams. I mean, I think the first couple years I led teams versus the last couple, night and day difference, right? In who I am and me as a leader and the results I got and all that. But that was kind of the path. And the cool thing with when we sold, though, sold with Vivint Solar and Sunrun, the cool thing is us leaders. So we were leaders. We had a team in an office and a market, but we sold every day. So the really cool thing that we did is we weren't like a lot of companies that, they set out the workers, the salesmen, and go work. And then we sat back and didn't do anything. And then we tried to, you can't teach anyone unless you're doing it. And so we were out in the field, we were working, we were selling every single day, and along with our people. And so there's a lot of value there, because you're training, you're constantly refining your own stuff. You're training at your, best practices, like top of mind. So that was a key, I think. And, at the time I looked at other organizations like, oh man, those, we hear of people leaving to go, for a cush job that, they're leading a sales team, but they're not having to go out there and sell every day. It seems nice. It seems all that, but, what we were doing was more valuable. And I can see that the harder path was the better path.
Mm-hmm. I love what you said there. It's just because you and I talked about this last time we talked. I was I got a job as a vacuum cleaner salesman at one point, and I'm not good at it. And my leader was that one who hangs back in his office. He was never out with us on a day-to-day. He didn't show us his bag of tricks. He was just basically saying, oh, that didn't work. Well, come on back in for a couple of days, more training, and we'll send you out again. You know what I mean? So he wasn't showing me in the field. And then one time he even said, oh, you can go out with these guys and see, so watch what they do. And don't get me wrong, I picked up a thing or two, but it just wasn't for me. Now, I knew enough to walk away, right? This wasn't for me. But have you noticed where people look, they're hanging on to a job because they're thinking, okay, you know what, if I sell one of these a month, I might make it, but What if they don't work out? What do you do? Sometimes there has to be hard conversations there, right?
Oh yeah. So I think our industry average in the door-to-door industry is about 6 months is what people last. So to go like long term, but we had in our office, we had uh, tons and tons of our majority of our office was people that had been there 3, 4, 5, 6 years or more. So there's a lot of things that you can do to make sure that people stick around, and that has to do with like obviously pay is really important, but the team culture is really valuable. They see that they're developing as leadership. Those things and having a really good organization go really far. I kind of teach on what I call the proven five sales systems, and those are sales systems that every sales team should have. They're good compensation, good incentives, good sales training, good team culture, and good leadership mentoring. And so with those, yeah, you want to set up the best possible environment for as many people to succeed as we did that. But we also knew like the realities of this very, very difficult thing and the realities of rejection. And someone looks good, talks good, but can they get over that daily rejection? And honestly, like those people are few and far between. They're not, every person's not that. And so we would have a lot of a lot of turnover because the job was just too hard. It's just too difficult. But they were always grateful for learning something, feeling like they were better when they left than when they got here, and in their skills, and maybe just that right, maybe they just needed something a little bit better fit for them and their personality. But that skill of selling will relate to anything that you do, anything.
I love that. That's amazing. And that's basically what it boils down to is if you come in with an attitude of gratitude or the openness to learn, I think you'll pick up a lot. Look, I learned some things through my sales job look, it was only 5 weeks but the constant no, I think if I'd have sold one unit, I might have gotten some motivation to continue going, right? But in that five
Yeah.
weeks, I sold nothing, but I did pick up a lot.
Yeah, that's a key. Like, I was lucky because I got with a great team. Like, so my experience with another company could have been totally different. Like, I just was really lucky. I got with a high culture team that was amazing. I sold with a team that had been selling for years and selling a different product. They were selling home security systems, but still same door knocking, everything else, right? Just switched to a different product. And so I got lucky because I had people that had been there, done that, and they could teach me. And they were willing to teach me. And the leaders were willing to put in the time. And they had great trainings, and they had, they just had everything really, really dialed in. And so when things are dialed in, an average person like myself can go in there and they can work hard and they can do well. And then the success builds on itself, right? You get a little bit more confidence. You get, you keep going, and then, you hit a hard patch and it's fine because you've had some success before that, right? Yeah, so that was our thought, was like, we just want to give everyone the best chance possible in success. And we know that's not going to happen for everybody, right? Like,
Yeah.
we know that's not going to happen.
And you've said it several times, but I want to give you the opportunity to maybe refine it because you've talked about and you've given us the 5 necessities of a great sales team, but you've talked several times about team culture and a great team culture. Maybe define for people, what does a great team culture look like?
So I've been, as I've been training companies, it seems to be the one area where people don't they kind of overgrade themselves on how good their team culture is. And so the leadership says their culture is this good, but then the people say it's this good. And typically the other areas, they align like pretty much the same. And so I think we overemphasize from a leadership perspective, like how happy our people are. and, oh, this, like, because I built this company, it's amazing. And maybe we're not really looking ourselves in the mirror as clearly as possible. And so the thing with, I look at, like, and I bring it back to athletes, but I think we need to treat if we're dealing with salespeople or employees, I think we need to treat them like athletes. We need to coach them, we need to train them, we need to motivate them, we need to, like, take care of them. We need to give them every chance that we possibly can, and try to be like that coach. And so a real good team culture, it looks some things it looks like. So people are close. They're close, not just friendly at work. They actually talk and communicate outside of work. Okay. So on our team, we had amazing friends that I'll be friends with the rest of my life. That we hung out outside of work. We did things, like, we experienced things. We did things with our wives. We did things, that experience level. So taking the idea of team unity, like, to another level, will really, and if you think, well, I'm with people I don't want to hang out with, well, you probably should hire different people. Like you really should. So that idea of, brotherhood, sisterhood is really big. And the idea of, hey, we're trying to win for each other, the idea of winning as a whole, winning as a group, being excited when someone else succeeds. And there's so much, that goes into that. Obviously can't, in a couple minutes here, can't explain everything. But as you look at your team culture, do people hang out? Are they excited when someone else wins and it's not them?
Yes.
Do they feel like they want to help the team win? And is there a little bit of a competitive environment? Not necessarily, even with each other a little bit's fine, but a competitive environment of us against our competitors, or us against another team in the company, or that type of thing, that we're pulling together towards a common goal. And if you see those things, you probably have good team culture. And if you don't, you're probably overestimating your team culture.
Yep. Listen, I can even say in my work, because I do this on the side, but in my work, I have a great team. We're happy together. We go to dinner sometimes, you know what I mean? But there's areas where we're lacking in what you've just described. But the thing we always say is, we're setting you up for success, right? What is it going to take? And then we ask, what is it going to take? What do you need? Because I think a leader's job is to make their constituents or their people, to make them successful. It's their job to make my job happen, right? So what do you need? What is it that's going to take for you to be able to do your job efficiently and function to the best of your ability?
Yeah. And then as a real good team culture, that won't just be from the boss. That will be from everybody.
Absolutely.
Right? That will be, so for instance, I'll give you an example. We would have people, we got to a point where our team culture was really, really good. At first, when I first was running teams, a new person came in, I would assign them to start shadowing, like a kind of a mentor, like assigned. The last couple of years, I didn't assign anyone to be a mentor, because it just happened.
Mm-hmm.
It literally happened from day one. Our leaders knew, like, hey, this new person, he's going to need help. Hey, and it just started naturally happen. Hey, you want to come out with me to a couple appointments? Oh, actually, I'm already going with him, but can I come with you another day? And it just like this, like, hey, we know you're going to do something hard. You're going to need help. We want to help you. And it can't, where the culture now drove itself, and it wasn't coming from the top. So that kind of that key leadership, you always have the boss, right? But then that one level down, those leaders are like, whatever those leaders are like will really be what your team culture's like. Who's with the people day in, day out, right? Like who doesn't have the title of boss, but they're like the leader in the office. Your team will almost always act like those people. And if they're selfish, your team will be selfish. And if they're, yeah, all those things, whatever they are, right? If they're good or bad, your team will be most like them.
Yeah, I love that. And listen, I've had environments where it's a downer. There's a drag, and I thank you for that because I never realized where the drag was coming from. Look, I will be honest, I've probably been that drag at one point. You know what I mean? But right now we have our administrative assistant who works for the VP. She comes in with a great attitude every day, always with a smile, always cheering people up. People go to her for everything they need. She gives candy. You know what I mean? Come by. Let's come have a chat. We'll see. She gets everything done, and that type of culture spreads itself out, right? It's like a light that just shines out on it, and that's one of the things we use too in our taglines is shine your light on the world. And really that kind of energy is brilliant, and just it elevates and illuminates everything around it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Your message matters. Your expertise has value. Learn how to share it with the world and become the authority people are looking for. Don't miss this special live training with best-selling author Raymond Aaron, who has authored or co-authored 147 books. And he's discovered one powerful strategy that has opened more doors, created more opportunities, and generated tremendous wealth for his clients. In this free webinar, you'll learn how to build your brand, position yourself as the go-to authority in your market, attract more clients, and dramatically increase your income through the power of authorship. Don't wait. Visit www.beaconfellows.com/101010 or click the link in the show notes.
So look, you've been a high school teacher, you've been a salesman, you've been a sales leader. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you've even said it several times, you're into sales coaching, right? Tell people right now about who it is you work with and how you help them in that sales aspect.
Yeah, so I help companies that have sales teams. So, if you have 3 or more, that's kind of where I draw the line. And some have 3 and they're still growing, and I get that. And so, but actually those small companies are kind of fun because we set the foundation like from the start, and that's a good way to do it, right? So we don't have to fix things later. The rest of them, it's okay. So I look at those 5 key sales systems that I talked about, and typically there's 1 or 2 that's really holding them back. And so we're not trying to fix everything. We're trying to just dial in like the real opportunity of improvement. And so we just diagnose where they're at. We just focus on those, those 1 or 2 key areas that's really going to move the needle first. And then we work on those, and then we might work on others out of that. But I typically do like 90-day programs for people, one-on-one direct coaching, not like it's not a group coaching. It's not, it's literally one-on-one every, and I'm doing the trainings, I'm doing, all that. So I'm kind of a one man wrecking crew right now. And so, we're small and mighty, so to speak. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm passionate about it. I'm good at it. And we get good results for people.
Yeah, I'll tell you, look, I'm that small business, you know what I mean? And I've just started considering that I need salespeople, right? I need people who are going to go and take my product or my ideas and bring in the customer, sell them on the idea, get the ticket sales, get the coaching or the product sales. So I hadn't considered it. So now I'm using ChatGPT as my sales coach, basically. I've had to teach ChatGPT, by the way. We can do this. Teach it how to be more critical, because it's always nice. You know what I mean? Oh, that's a great idea. Now I'll create this for you. I'll do this for you. No, I've had to teach ChatGPT that I don't want a nice guy. I want somebody who's going to question everything. You know what I mean? Show me what I'm missing. Don't tell me this is great. Show me what I'm missing, because that's what it boils down to, right? We need to know the things we don't know. But like I said, I'm at that small business stage, and I need to get some sales help in my business. But it also told me, look, you're not ready for salespeople at this point, right? You need to refine this, you need to refine that. You need to know what the offer is going to be. You need to teach them on your product and your ideas, right? So it's given me a lot of things to consider before I move into that step of hiring the salespeople. But you you saying you could help people with that from the start. And I know you'd say you'd rather work with the established sales teams, but
Yeah,
what guidance would you offer? Okay, go ahead.
I just work with teams that have actual sales teams. So,
Hmm.
not like individual founders, just because there's a lot of moving parts and
Right.
with that. And so people that have sales teams, because typically what happens is a founder really has other things they really want to focus on, and they just want better results from their salespeople, right? That literally that's what it comes down to. And they want someone to take the bull by the horns and just train it and do it and implement it and keep, and there's a few systems in there that, that the leadership definitely needs to be involved in for sure. But they want to see like someone do it for them. And that's kind of what I do. Yeah.
Got you. No, and that's great because again, that's taking off the CEO who wears all those hats. That's taking one aspect out of it and getting it out of their head and getting it controlled by an experienced person. But for the people like me, I'm sure you've got some guidance. What would you offer to somebody like me? Like I said, ChatGPT tells me I'm not ready. You know what I mean? So what would you say to help get them ready?
I test ChatGPT all the time about sales knowledge, and half the time it's wrong. So I wouldn't take it for I'm serious. If you're an expert in any field, ask any expert. They test ChatGPT sometimes. They're like, yeah, it's about
Sure.
halfway
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But I would say so. If you're ready, like you could try out. For sure, there's people that will sell, and if you put them on a commit. So the way I look at it is, I'm really in favor of 100% commission structures. Really in favor of it because for you as the founder, it's if they perform, you pay them. If they don't, you don't. There's nothing like you didn't waste any money, right? And so what do you want? You want performance, right? You want sales, you want results, and then you're willing to pay for that. But if they don't do anything, then you shouldn't pay for them. And sometimes people are, shy about that, but that's what I was on for 10 plus years, 100% commission. And what that does is that, that eliminates who's bad, and it will keep people focused on what's really, really, really important. So making contacts, making sales, etc. So it makes them be really, really efficient because they're not going to waste money. They waste time. They're not going to waste time on, checking emails all the time. They're not going to waste time on other, making proposals look pretty that don't need to be pretty, right? They're just whatever the peripheral things are. They're going to focus on what's important and what's valuable.
I love that. So, and then I will say for myself, I've considered it again, 100% commission, like you said. But I also have several products available, including ticket sales, things like that. So I've considered having what they call client concierge. You know what I mean? Where they're they're like their go-to guy. They have the conversation initially, try to sell them on the tickets, then they come back in and have another conversation after the event, see what interests them. Do they want to take the next event? Do they want to join us at a retreat? Do they want our coaching? Do they want this training program? So the idea is I want to hire them as client concierge, but they're still essentially salespeople, right?
Yeah, and they'll get good at it because they're living, breathing that like 24/7, so to speak, like those sales aspect, right? Where you're as a founder, you're trying to do the sales, you're also trying to do other things. You have a lot of hats, like you said, that you're wearing.
Yeah.
And so it's hard, like even for me in my business right now, like I'm trying to do a little bit different things. I'm trying to learn a little bit of tech for, some of the stuff I'm doing. I'm trying to learn some social media stuff. And I like trying to learn a lot is slow going, even with coaches. It's just because I'm trying to learn a lot of different angles. But if you're just focused on one thing, like you can just go at that one thing. And so that's what a salesperson would do for you. They would just be like, go at this, right? And then make the commission structure good, make it really valuable for them, make it worthwhile, and they'll figure it out. Like, believe me, they'll chase after that rabbit if the rabbit's big enough.
So thank you for that, because you kind of validated me in the sense that, yeah, I shouldn't maybe take ChatGPT for its word. I considered how I could structure my commission model, and I do have things to offer. So I'm gonna explore that a little bit, see if we can get a couple people on board and get them promoting
Yeah.
so that I can start to bring in some money without having to chase after everybody all the time. So
Yeah, just bring in a 1099, contractor that's a salesperson, just 1099 them and and train them and spend some time, obviously developing them, maybe buy a course that they can go over and they can, spend some of your money to develop them, courses or books or etc. that they could really start studying. I mean, there's some really great classic sales books. Like you could spend less than $100, buy a few books, 4 books, and really, Zig Ziglar stuff is, I mean, it's so amazing. It's old school, but it still works. Like it still
yeah,
works.
yeah. So I love that. Thank you for everything you've offered. You've given us some tremendous guidance, a lot about leadership, a lot about sales. Which, let's face it, if you're not bringing in income, you're not doing a good job on your business, right? So you've talked about how now you were supporting these businesses in their sales growth. How can people connect with you? Do you have anything to offer that might be of value to them?
Yeah, they can connect with me on Instagram at coach_Luke J. And I do have I did grab a quiz on those 5 key elements. So if you have any founders, CEOs, C-suite people, or business owners, you can take that sales quiz. It's just takes 4 minutes, and it will kind of give you, it'll score you in each of those 5 areas. It gives you a scorecard at the end, and then I have trainings on each of those. So it gives you some steps to really start implementing, because I'm all about implementation, right? Like stop talking, let's start acting.
Absolutely. That's exactly it. People are here to learn, but they're here to learn what they can apply in their own lives, right? So they can get all of that stuff through LinkedIn.
Yeah, through LinkedIn and through Instagram, and both there.
So we will get people connected back to you. And thank you for that. Thank you for your time today. But before we wrap up, I always ask one final question. And it's really about, what leadership message would you want every listener out there to remember from your time today?
One leadership message, I think I'll just repeat myself a little bit, is, be a coach, right, for someone else, and get a coach. So any area that you need to improve, just get help. Just get someone that's been there, done that, a little bit ahead of the game. They only have to maybe be 2 steps ahead of you, but yeah, get that coaching.
Love it. That's exactly the advice we want to hear. Look, and then don't just listen to them. Make sure you go out and apply it in your business. Absolutely. So, Luke, thank you for joining us today and sharing your experiences and insights with our listeners. It's been very helpful.
Thanks so much for having me, RJ. I appreciate the time.
Absolutely. And to everyone who's listened to us today, remember that leadership is a journey, and the best way to grow is to learn from those who have walked the path before us. If today's conversation inspired you, be sure to subscribe, share this episode with someone who would benefit from it, and continue your leadership journey with us. You can also learn more about leadership development and our growing community at the Beacon Fellows Academy of Leadership. And of course, we'll include a link. And until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and continue to shine your light on the world.